Hey, what's up everybody? This is Chris with the Dream, and in this video we're going to go over the tips and tricks to make a better on-camera interview for your production. That could be a production for yourself, for your brand, for your business, for your partner, as a service, whatever the case may be. But we're going to show you how to do the best on-camera interviews here today, right now. So let's go. I remember when I first started off in digital media, and I had an on-camera interview to interview for this class, and again I didn't know any of these like tips and tricks that would make my interview come off, you know, how it does on most social media platforms and even on TV, even like, you know, 60 Minutes and things like that. Didn't understand the science behind the camera angles, the posture of the person, you know, the composition and things like that. So with that being said, I created this video just for the person who was just like me, back trying to figure these things out. Because again, these are techniques that are industry standards that'll allow you to align with the industry and make your footage and your videos look that much better, so you can get higher paying clients, things like that, and get more business for your video production company. Or if you're doing it for yourself, create content that matches the industry, that looks professional. Again, that's at the end of the day what we're doing here at Digital Rim. So let's just hop right into it. The first thing we're going to cover is like where to look. Where to look, essentially, you can I would say this is relative or by opinion, but one of the good practices is to use the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds being you have just divide this whole composition up into three. So this is one, this is one, this is one. Divide the composition up into three, and then pick a side. Pick any side. So let's say you have an interview and I'm interviewing myself, or, you know, shooting myself doing an interview. You want to choose one of the 1/3 sides. So this is a side of the third. And then you want to have the speaker kind of look a little off to the left side. So if they're looking at the camera, if they're on the right side of the camera, they want to look off on the opposite direction of the camera, as if they're talking to somebody off screen near. Again, that's for doing a on-camera interview. Now, why this is important, or why this is a common practice, because let's say you have two people. You have one shot of a person talking on an interview, and they're talking, and then you have a cut to another person responding or asking another question. You would have them on the opposite third. So they were on the opposite side, looking on the opposite way of the camera. And you might be asking, like, why would you do that? Well, this avoids if you want to say, abruptness or the confusion when you're cutting from scene to scene. And also it will make it not seem as if it's a jump cut. So if you don't know what a jump cut is, you can Google it or look it up, but it just makes it seem like as if it's not a jump cut. So you want to make sure you do that. If you have an on-camera interview, just have a person stand off to the you know, one of the thirds, either left or right side, and look slightly away from the camera. So slightly off to the left. Again, when I'm doing the one-on-one, when I'm doing more of the one-on-one style where I'm speaking directly to the camera, that's for that type of video. But again, if you're doing interview style, you want to have that person kind of speaking as if they're speaking to somebody off the camera, not looking directly at the audience, because the audience is just the audience at the end of the day. They're the audience viewing this interaction between somebody else. So you want to have that interaction conveyed in the actual composition. That makes sense. Hopefully it does. All right, the next part is answering questions. Really, as simple as just be authentic as possible when answering the questions. It's really just that simple. Reiterate the question so you can stay on track, but then just answer the question in your most authentic voice possible, most clear and concise voice possible. It's really just that simple. Again, you can use a teleprompter to come up with the questions, or you can have somebody off screen ask the question. But again, using that rule of thirds, we're gonna stand off to the side here, looking off to the left or the right, and just answer the questions as if you're talking to somebody off of the camera, right? So just answer as authentic as possible. Now, with that also being said, avoid scripted answers. I can't emphasize this enough. Avoid scripted answers, because it comes off as if you're reading it. It comes off unauthentic. It comes off untrustworthy, things like that. So make sure you do not script your answers. Make sure you have a good grasp on what you're talking about, for one. But then if you need time, just reiterate the question so you can have more time to, digest what's being asked, and then come up with an authentic answer. I can't emphasize that enough. Like, that's really, 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 really important for you, and even for a client that you're shooting. Emphasize that to them as well. Like, don't script the answers. These are the answers. You might give them a outline of the answers that you're going to ask them later on, so you can give them the day before, give them the outline. Like, these are the answers I'm going to ask you. Give them time to process their answers. But when you get on camera, kind of like, don't have them read, or don't give them the idea to read, or don't even let them read. Like, hey, don't read. Just, you had time to figure it out what you want to say. Now say it as authentic as possible, and it comes across very good on camera. So make sure you just have unscripted answers and be as authentic as possible with those answers. Now, with that being said, if you forgot to answer a question, don't worry about it. Like, a good interviewer will know. Go just ask the question again. So as the interviewee, don't worry about it if you forgot to answer a question or didn't answer it the right way. Just answer as authentically as possible, and just keep it going, keep it flowing, have fun. At the end of the day, have fun. Don't get nervous or anxious. Just have fun, and you'll get through it and have a good end product for your video. All right, here's the key steps for production wise. Make sure you capture good audio. If that's using a lapel mic for your interviewee, if that's using a microphone, a podcast mic, more on the bigger microphones, if that's using a boom mic for your interviewee, but make sure you capture good audio. Make sure you reduce the echo and all the sounds that are in the environment. And you can actually, if you want to learn more about that, you can go visit or watch one of our videos where we talk more about that, like capturing good audio, selecting a location, all in our course for the media production course. So you can see those in the Creator Academy as well. But also, like I say, make sure you capture that good audio. It's super important to capture the good audio. That's one of the things that's super overlooked. I would say in the beginning of my career, I got caught up in the visuals, like how high quality it looked, but really didn't look at the audio. But now, understanding more about audio, the audio actually drives the vision. It actually enhances it even further. So audio is super, super important. All right, so here's when you break down the equipment, here's some how to use the equipment if you have access to this equipment, right? So you have a boom mic for directional sound. If you have directional sound, you want a boom mic or something similar where you can capture that directional sound. As here, my boom mic is right here in front of me, so any sound that's coming directional from this area is going straight into my boom mic. So you want to have a directional audio source. Now, a good other alternative is a lapel mic. So a lapel mic is you've probably seen, is mic people clip on themselves and actually talk regularly, and they're able to capture that sound in a high quality. So you can have a lapel mic, and that helps isolate the speaker. So you can have multiple lapels, and each speaker will have their own mic. So again, if there are two people talking right here, and we're trying to capture the audio, it's easier, or it'll be easier on the editing side if each of us have our own microphone, where now when we go into editing, maybe I talk louder than my visitor, or vice versa. So the person who's talking the loudest can be leveled out to the same level as the person who's talking not so loud. So with that being said, you have more control over your actual audio on the back end. So if you can have more microphones for each individual guest, it's definitely ideal to do that. But if you have one guest, one speaker, and they're just on camera, you can use a boom mic or just a regular podcast microphone, or USB mic, or whatever the case may be. There are so many different options out there as far as microphone, but you can use whatever microphone you can just to capture that audio in the best quality possible. Highly, highly, highly do not urge you try to capture audio from your camera microphone or your webcam microphone or from your computer If you are limited on resources where you don't have a microphone, you can simply, here's an alternative. This is like last case scenario alternative, but more than likely you have a cell phone, so you can capture the audio on your actual mobile phone or your device. So with that being said, set your microphone, set your device down close to your face, as close to your face as possible, and present, and then capture that audio from the actual mobile device, and you would pull that into your editing software. And you have to line it up and all this other stuff, but again, that's the worst case scenario situation. But with all that being said, just knowing to actually capture good audio in your interview is very important. But also, that's another tip that I actually read in a book that we covered in Live at Lunch. When you are doing an interview, and it might be a video interview, and you have your microphones and everything set up, it's always a good idea to actually have a phone or a voice recorder running at the same time. Because in the story from the book that we were reading in Live at Lunch, he was doing an interview, and for some reason the audio from the interview, the main audio from the interview, had got corrupted or somehow, whatever the case may be, but he had that backup from his audio recording device to back it up, so he didn't lose any work or lose this potentially high profile interview. Now again, why I say high profile interview, because you might be thinking, just like I was before I read this book, like how high profile is my own podcast or my own thing. But you have to think, let's say you have an interview with let's say you have an interview with the president or somebody very important, and they only have a limited amount of time. Well, you can depend on your actual machine or your actual setup, but then having that backup is also important, because you're only gonna have this one window to capture what you need to capture to get this uploaded. So making sure you're covering all bases as far as backups, plan A, plan B, and plan C for anything that might happen with the files or whatever the case may be. So with that being said, just thinking proactively for your production. And the final tip for on-camera interview is keep the camera close. Again, ideally you want your camera to be if you want to say a close-up to a quarter shot, quarter shot being like a waist up type of shot, or a close-up, you want to keep that type of composition. You don't want it to be a full shot, a full body shot or thing like that. You don't want it to be anything like that, because again, it's an interview. Just like if you were, imagine yourself sitting on a couch with multiple people and you're talking. If you see their whole body, they're off, just think psychologically, they're off in the distance. They're probably talking from the kitchen or something like that. They're not involved in the conversation. They probably just, yelled something out. But everybody on the couch is seeing, you're seeing each other like close up, face to face. So you want to create that experience on a digital platform with, your equipment. You want to create that same exact experience, and you'll start to see like how a lot of the psychological things that we do from our day-to-day interactions convert over to what we produce for video. Those are the main tips for on-camera interview when you're doing that for your production. If you're doing that for somebody else, or you're doing it for yourself, but on-camera interview, those are the main tips for the on-camera interview. Now, with that being said, if you are enjoying content like this, if you like content like this, and if you want to share content just like this, make sure you hit that like button so everybody else gets access to the same content that you're getting access to, and get access to the same information that you're getting access to, so everybody can create better content. But if you want to take to this next level, you can hit that notification bell to make sure you get notified. But if you want to take it even to a bigger level where you get notified as soon as we drop the courses, and as soon as we drop content, and as soon as we drop merch and everything about the digital REM community, make sure you go to the digitalrem.com and join the Creator Academy waitlist. I'm trying to refrain from giving you a feeling like I'm selling you on this, but at the same time, these are the same techniques that I used over my career, over my whole 12 plus years career as a digital media artist. So again, the same things we cover in Creator Academy are the same things you will use if you want to work for somebody or work for yourself or help somebody else with their business or their vision. So with that being said, you can pretty much use the Creator Academy experiences, guidance to catapult your own production experiences and career. So with that being said, everybody, like I always say, have a blessed day. Take care, lady y'all. Peace.